Let me guess, you guys have probably been watching videos about how to make money online for a little while now. Maybe you guys tried to do a few different things. Maybe you guys tried drop shipping. Maybe you tried crypto. Maybe you tried day trading, affiliate marketing, whatever it may be. Maybe you even bought a course on something and it just didn't work out. And here you are yet again watching another video wondering if this might actually work. Well, I'm going to tell you something that most people won't tell you in the space, and that is most of those business models failed because you're required to create demand from scratch. You have to build an audience, run ads, convince people to buy something they weren't already looking for. It's just a lot more difficult of a process. Amazon FBA is different. And I'm going to show you exactly why in this free course. For those of you who are new here, maybe you don't know who I am Colin Main. I used to be a pipeline welder in northern Alberta, Canada. I was working in negative 50 Celsius degrees. I was working 12, 14-hour days. I was working anywhere from 21 to 34 days straight in a camp with thousands of other dudes. We were all doing the exact same thing. We were all there trading time for dollars. So that's what led me into looking into e-commerce, because I was just fucking tired of wanting to do that. In the last 8 years, my business partner Scott and I have done over $10 million in Amazon sales. We've helped over 300 students build their own stores, and many of them are doing $10,000 to $40,000 a month in sales. One of our students, Rob, he came in with absolutely zero prior Amazon experience whatsoever. He's in the IT space. He was a gentleman that was working 9 to 5. Within the first year, he was able to do over $130,000 in sales. I'm making this video as a free masterclass because I wish I had this when I was getting started. So I'm going to walk you guys through everything. I'm not going to have any fluff or any bullshit in there. I'm just going to give you guys the exact step-by-step blueprint, the actual process, but I want you guys to know one thing before you get started. Amazon does roughly $1.9 billion in sales every single day. That's almost $2 billion every day. Independent third-party sellers, people like you and I, they account for 60% of all units sold on the platform. In 2025, Amazon paid out $575 billion to third-party sellers. And that number grows 15% every single year. It's increasing. That means there's 310 million active customers on Amazon worldwide. The number of active sellers on Amazon has actually been declining since 2021. It's dropped roughly 25%. So right now, there are more buyers than ever and fewer sellers than there were 4 years ago. For anyone that says Amazon is oversaturated, they're absolutely crazy. That is the opposite of saturation. That is what is known as an open market. And as for the sellers who are leaving, they're the ones who had no system, they had no strategies, they had no guidance. They were trying to piece together things from random YouTube videos. They more than likely burnt their money and they quit. That's what happens 95% of the time when people don't see success in the e-commerce space. Follow exactly everything I tell you and I show you in this video, and that won't be you. So here's what we're going to be covering today. Pillar 1, the roadmap, as I like to call it. What is Amazon FBA? How does the business model work? And I'm going to go over the exact hybrid system that I use and that I share with others who are complete beginners and allows them to generate cash flow in the first 30 to 60 days. Pillar number 2, coaching and support. Why having the right feedback and accountability is the difference between building a successful business, a real business, or just fucking spinning your tires and blowing away money and wasting time. Pillar number 3, community and network. Why the people around you matter more than pretty much anything else when you're building something new. So throughout this video, I'm going to walk you through the actual step-by-step setup, from forming your LLC to getting your Amazon account live, to finding your first profitable products, to shipping them and making your first sales. All right, let's get into it. Section number 1. What is Amazon FBA and why this business model works? So what does FBA actually mean? FBA stands for Fulfilled by Amazon. Here's how it works. So you find a product that's already selling on Amazon. You source it, which means you're buying it at a lower price. You ship it to one of Amazon's warehouses, and when a customer buys it, Amazon handles everything else. They do all the fulfillment, the storage, the packaging, the shipping, the customer service, the returns, everything. Your job is only 2 things. Your job is to find the right products and manage your inventory. That's it. You're not building a brand from scratch. You're not running ads. You're not doing any market research or anything like that. You don't have to create any demand. All you're doing is you're fulfilling a demand that already exists on Amazon. I like to break it down and think of it like this. Amazon has roughly 310 million customers going to their platform every single day. They're searching for things that they want to buy. They're already there. Your job is just to put the right products in front of those people. It's not rocket science. Like I was saying, I'm a welder. I'm not a genius. I'm not an engineer or anything like that. It's not a difficult process. I say this all the time. This is not complicated. It just requires the right system. That's it. I'll give you a comparison to something that maybe you've already looked into or you've considered. Dropshipping has a high rate of return, meaning if people are buying your stuff, there's a high probability that they return it. There's very small profit margins. The customer service falls entirely on you, which is a lot of work. And Amazon doesn't even allow it on their platform. There's private labeling. Private labeling is essentially creating your own brand or product, which requires anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 up front. I would estimate anywhere from 6 to 12 months before you see any return on your investment. And you're going to be building a brand that no one's ever fucking heard of from scratch. There's affiliate marketing. You're going to need a large audience to market it to. You're not going to build a large audience in any less than, say, 12 months. Most people just end up quitting before they even get there. Like, it's not a very feasible strategy, affiliate marketing. There's also day trading. There's crypto. I'm not going to tell you that those business models don't work, but the learning curve is extremely steep. The risk to reward is very high, and the emotional toll is brutal. Amazon FBA with the hybrid model, cash flow in the first 30 to 60 days, it's a low capital to get started. Amazon handles all the fulfillment. You're selling products that people are already searching for and buying every single day. And here's the thing that really separates this business model from anything else. This is a done with you business model. It's not a done for you business model. I want to be very clear on that. I'm not going to do any of this work for you, but I am going to show you exactly how to do it for yourself. So that way you're not dependent on me or Scott or anyone else to teach you or do this for you. All right, now before we get into the actual steps, I need to explain the specific system that we use, because this is where most people go wrong, and this is the main reason why so many people fail as sellers on Amazon before they even get started. Why most people fail before they even get started, and what is the cause of it for most beginners? Essentially what happens is they watch a few YouTube videos, they get super excited, they decide that they're going to jump straight into wholesale, meaning they're going to directly go to the larger brands like Tide or Pampers or Nike, and they're going to try to open a wholesaler account. They're going to try to buy bulk, and then they're going to try to resell on Amazon, which sounds logical, I know, and it is. But here's the problem. If you go to a large brand like, say, Nike, and you send them a message and you say, like an email, and you say, hey, I want to open a wholesale account, the first two things that they ask you for, your LLC, your limited liability corporation, and they're going to ask you for a reseller's permit. But the third thing that they're going to ask you for is they're going to ask you for proof of selling history. And if you've never sold anything on Amazon before, you don't have a selling history. So they're going to deny you. And what's going to happen is you're going to spend 3 to 6 months sending cold emails into the void or the abyss. You're going to be burning time. You're going to be burning money. And eventually you end up quitting. That's not a failure of the business model. That's a failure of the sequence. The other mistake that people make is they jump straight into private labeling or private label. They try to create their own brand. You can be successful at it, but it's very difficult when you're first getting started because you're going to have to do all the sourcing of the products from overseas. You're going to end up spending anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 before you even make a single sale. And then what typically happens is you end up getting stuck with the inventory that isn't moving. It's not selling. It's because it's a brand that nobody knows. And it ends up just becoming a hole in your bank account. So what the right order is the hybrid cash flow system. And it's essentially what Scott, my business partner, and we figured this out after a few years of doing this ourselves and watching hundreds of students go through the exact same process. The proper strategy is You start with online arbitrage, then you transition into wholesale. That's the hybrid system. And here's exactly why it works. Because in phase one, you're going to utilize online arbitrage. Online arbitrage is very simple. You find products that are being sold at a discounted price on a retail websites, places like Walmart, Target, Home Depot, and you resell them on Amazon at a higher price. You're not creating anything. You're not building a brand. You're just finding the margin between what something costs at retail and what it sells for on Amazon. Here's a real example. Let's say you find a product for $10 on Walmart. You check Amazon, the exact same product is being sold on Amazon for $29.99. Now, Amazon will take roughly around $9 in fees, which means your net profit would be around $9 per unit. If you deploy, say, $1,000, meaning if you use $1,000 in buying product, that $1,000 can turn into roughly $750 in profit over a 4 to 6 week inventory cycle. Then you take that same profit and you reinvest it into more products and you repeat it. This is how you build cash flow fast and how you start getting selling history. And then once you have the selling history, this is the proof that you need to eventually approach the wholesale suppliers, and then they will approve you based on your selling history. Phase two is wholesale. Once you have a selling history, once Amazon can see that you know how to move products, you go to the bigger brands and you get authorized distributors. You buy directly from them at wholesale prices, which are bigger orders. It's easier, repeatable, it's more scalable, and this is where the business becomes more stable and predictable. You're going to shoot from anywhere from 30% ROI every 30 to 45 days. That same capital reinvested over and over and over again is how you grow and scale this model. So I'll give you some simple math that makes this more real or tangible to you. You only need 3 to 4 good or validated products in order to sell or make $10,000 in profit a month. That's it. It's not a complicated business model, guys. It's just a systematic one. Okay, so now that you actually understand the model, let's build the damn thing. Step 1, setting up your legal foundation form or your LLC, your limited liability corp. The first thing that you need to do before you fucking touch anything with Amazon is get your legal structure in place. All you need is an LLC, a limited liability company. And here's why that matters. An LLC will separate your personal assets from your business assets. If something goes wrong, if there's a dispute, a return, an issue, or anything like that, they can't come after you or your personal bank account or your car or your house or anything like that. Your business is its own entity. Also, on the flip side, having an LLC makes your company and you look more legitimate. When you go to, say, a wholesale supplier down the road, like in the future, and you say, hey, here's my LLC and my reseller's permit, they take that very seriously, and it'll look better for you. You're not just some random person off the street or off the internet. You're an actual business. Getting an LLC is not complicated. It takes a couple days. In most states, you can get it done online in like 15 minutes too. You can literally go on Google and type in how to file an LLC and then simply follow the steps. That's it. You'll also need an EIN, which is an employer identification number. This is basically like a social security number for your business. Yeah, and you can get it for free from the IRS website. I think it really only takes like 10 minutes. But it's very important because you'll need this in order to open up a business bank account and to set up your Amazon seller account. So the next step, once you have your LLC and your EIN, you go open a business bank account. I would recommend keeping your business money completely separate from your personal money. This makes your accounting clean. Next, you're going to get a reseller's permit. A reseller's permit, sometimes called a resale certificate, essentially allows you to buy products for resale without paying sales tax on them. And you'll need this when you start approaching wholesale suppliers. It's typically free in most states. So just search on Google reseller's permit and insert your state. And then you apply through your state's revenue department. Step 2 is going to be setting up your Amazon seller account. So I want you guys to go to sell.amazon.com and click sign up, where you're going to see 2 options. There'll be 2 options: individual plan and professional plan. The individual plan is free, but you end up paying 99 cents per sold unit. So the professional plan is $39.99 a month, but you can sell unlimited units with no per unit fee. My recommendation is, if you're serious about getting started with this and you really want to be successful with this, go with the professional plan. If you're going to be selling more than 40 units per month, which if you're really taking a solid crack at this, you will be, the math just works out in your favor. And the professional plan just gives you access to features that you're going to need, including the ability to win the buy box, which I'll explain here in a second. So what you guys will need in order to sign up, have these things ready before you even start. You're going to need a government issued ID, like a passport or a driver's license. You're going to need your EIN number. You're going to need your business bank account and routing number. You're going to need a credit card, not a debit card. You're going to need a phone number. And lastly, you'll need your business address. Now, once you have all that, go through the application process very carefully. Double check every single little piece of information, like the commas, the periods, everything, before you submit it for Amazon's approval, because the process is automated. And those tiny little errors, like a wrong date or like a comma instead of like a period, it can get your application flagged or denied, which is a huge pain in the ass. So be very diligent when you're going over everything, and just double check everything and take your time. Also, one important note, if you guys already have an Amazon buyer account, you can use the same email to set up your seller account. Just make sure you're not accidentally creating a duplicate account, which can cause some issues. So just be aware of that there, guys. So the buy box and why it matters. When multiple sellers are selling the same product on Amazon, there's the add to cart button. That add to cart button is essentially the buy box. Whoever wins the buy box gets the sale. About 90% of all Amazon sales go through that buy box. Now, the main factors that determine who wins the buy box come down to the price, seller performance metrics, and the fulfillment method. Using FBA, it gives you a significant advantage in winning the buy box, having the higher probability to sell your product, because Amazon trusts their own fulfillment network. And this is a massive, massive, massive reason why FBA is so powerful. You're not just selling on Amazon, you're selling with Amazon's infrastructure behind you. So step 3 is setting up your prep center. What is a prep center? A prep center is a third-party warehouse that receives your inventory. They inspect it, they label it, and then they ship it to Amazon's fulfillment centers on your behalf. So when you're first starting out, you might be doing this yourself, receiving products at your house, labeling it in your garage, boxing them, shipping them to Amazon yourself. That's totally fine in the beginning if you want to. It's a good practice because it teaches you the process, but ultimately, it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And as you scale, a prep center becomes more essential. It's going to free up your time so that you can focus on product research and growing your business instead of packing boxes and labeling packages and stuff like that. What to look for in a prep center. Location matters. If you can find a prep center in a tax-free state like Oregon, Montana, New Hampshire, or Delaware. Turnaround time. How quickly do they process and ship your inventory to Amazon? How fast do they get your stuff out to Amazon? The next thing I want you to look at is cost per unit. Most prep centers are going to charge you anywhere between 50 cents and $1.50 per unit for basic preparation. And look into communication. How well do they communicate? Is the prep center responsive? Are they transparent? You don't need a prep center on day one. You don't need it right away. But I want you to be consciously aware of it, because in the future, with building the proper infrastructure, you're going to need a prep center as you grow and scale. Step 4 is the tools that you're going to need. Now, the 2 non-negotiables, these are 2 software systems or tools that are absolutely essential for this business model. Everything else is optional. These are the 2 non-negotiables. The first tool is what's called SellerAmp. SellerAmp is your product sourcing tool. It has a browser extension built into it. It has a mobile app. When you're looking at a product, whether you're on a retail website or in a physical store, SellerAmp will tell you every single thing you need to know about that product. It's going to tell you exactly how many times that product sells per month on Amazon. It's going to tell you how many sellers are on that listing. It's going to tell you whether you're approved to sell it or if you need to apply for approval. It's going to tell you whether there are any IP, intellectual property, or private label alerts on that product. It's going to give you a buy box analysis, who's winning it and how often. And most importantly, it's going to tell you your estimated profit after all the Amazon fees, after everything. This tool tells you exactly whether a product is worth buying or not buying. With it, you're making a data-driven decision. Now, the second tool is called Keepa, Keepa. Keepa is a price history tracker. It shows you the price history of any product on Amazon going back months or even years. And this is absolutely critical because Amazon prices fluctuate constantly. They're always going up and down. So a product might be selling for, say, $35 today, but if you look back on the Keepa chart and you see that it was selling for, say, I don't know, $15 3 months ago, and that it's regularly dropping back down, that's going to be a red flag. Because you're not going to want to buy inventory at a price that's about to tank. It's going to go down. Keepa also shows you sales rank history, which tells you how consistently a product sells over time. So a product with a stable, consistent sales rank is a much safer bet than one that has spikes and crashes and stuff like that. So by utilizing Keepa and SellerAmp, that's your decision-making engine. That's all the data that you need. Learn the two softwares and the two AIs. Use them every single time you evaluate a product. It's going to tell you everything you need to know to make an educated decision on the proper product in order to make money with. Now, there's a couple other softwares and tools that you could use. They're optional, but they are very helpful. There's one is called Sellerboard. Sellerboard tracks your backend metrics. It monitors inventory. It automates review requests. It helps you get reimbursed when Amazon loses or damages your inventory. And I would also recommend a repricing tool once you have more than, say, 25 or more active listings, because manually repricing everything every single day becomes unsustainable when you start growing and scaling. So utilizing a tool such as BQool, super beneficial. It's a really good tool, so I highly recommend checking them out to help automate the pricing for you. Step 5 is going to be your product research. The most important skill in this business is product research, because if you pick the right products, this business works. If you pick the wrong products, nothing else really matters. So picking proper products is the most important thing. It's the name of the game. I'm going to give you the exact framework that I use and my team uses. So what makes a good product? A good product is a need. It's not a want. Keep this in mind. It's one of the most important mindsets to have. The products that win on Amazon long term, they're boring everyday products that people buy every single week because they need them. They don't want them. Think of like Tide detergent, Crest toothpaste, Pampers diapers. All these products, they're not trendy. They were never like a trending cool thing. They've been selling for decades. People are always buying them. They're always going to be selling. The biggest thing I can tell you is avoid trend chasing. And I mean that in the sense that, like, don't go after products that are trending. I'll tell you a story. I knew a guy that bought 150 of those fidget spinners. They were blowing up on TikTok and Instagram and social media like 4 or 5 years ago. He ended up buying 150. He only sold 25 of them before the trend died on social media. And then he was left with the remaining 125 unsold. So the point is, do not be that guy. Don't go fucking chasing the trending products. I target a minimum of 30% ROI on every product that I buy, which means if I invest $100 in a product, I want to make at least $30 in profit after the fees. So here's some quick math for an example. Your product cost is, say, $10. Amazon's fees, their referral fee plus the FBA fee, is roughly around $9. Your selling price is $29.99. That means your net profit is roughly or approximately $9 per unit. That's about a 90% ROI, return on investment, for your product cost. That's a great product. So some brands have categories on Amazon that require approval before you can sell them. This is what's known as gated and what's known as ungated. Basically, it means if it's gated, you don't have permission to sell it. If it is ungated, you have permission to sell it. So getting ungated on a product usually just requires you to provide an invoice from an authorized supplier showing you purchased at least 10 units of the product. And this is just a process. It's not a huge barrier. We'll talk about how to get ungated here in a minute. There's something known as sales rank, which is also called BSR, best sellers rank. And this tells you how well a product is selling relative to everything else in its category. So if you focus on it, a lower number means it's selling more. You're going to want to focus on products with a consistent, stable BSR, not ones that have spiking BSRs randomly. And you're going to use Keepa to check the BSR history. If it's being consistently low for months, that's typically a product with proven reliable demand. It's not being dominated by Amazon itself or a massive private label brand. So if Amazon is selling the product directly, competing is very difficult. Same goes for products where one massive brand has thousands of reviews and they dominate the listing. What you want to be doing is you want to be looking for products where there's room for multiple sellers. So how to find the products. Online arbitrage. Here's the actual process for finding products through online arbitrage. So step one is you're going to pick your retail sources. Start with major retailers that have online stores. Think of Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Lowe's, CVS, Walgreens, Staples. These are your hunting grounds for products. And step two is you're going to look for deals. Go to the clearance sections, the sale sections, the weekly add-on sections. You're looking for products that are at a discounted price that are below their normal retail price. Then step three is you're going to check the product on Amazon using SellerAmp. When you find something that looks interesting, pull up the SellerAmp. It's going to show you everything you need to know. It's going to show you the current Amazon selling price. It's going to show you the estimated profit at that price. It's going to show you the sales velocity, how many units sell per month. And it's going to show you whether you're approved to sell that, whether you're ungated or you're gated. Now, after reviewing all that, if the numbers work, meaning you're hitting that 30% ROI, return on your investment, and the product is selling consistently, then that product is worth considering. The next step is check the price on Keepa. Before you buy anything at all, look at the Keepa chart. Make sure the current price isn't artificially inflated. Make sure the sales rank has stayed consistent. Make sure that this product isn't tanking in price every few weeks, meaning it's not fluctuating, going up and down. And then the next step is going to be buying and shipping the product. If everything checks out, if you utilize the Keepa, the SellerAmp, if you reviewed all the numbers, everything makes sense, if all the maths, then your next step is to buy the product. You have it shipped to your home or your prep center. It gets labeled and then it gets shipped out to Amazon. So here are some of the categories and the products that consistently perform and do well in the online arbitrage. I recommend looking into the grocery or the household essentials niche market. Health and beauty is another great niche market. Baby products, pet supplies, office supplies, seasonal items like the fourth quarter, say October through till December, is a big sales period because you have Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you have Christmas. What to avoid is I would avoid anything under $15 selling price. The margins are just too thin. They're not really there. Anything over $85, it kind of stops becoming an impulse buy and it starts becoming shopping around. I would stay away from trending or seasonal products with no year-end demand, and definitely stay away from products with an IP complaint or a private label alert in the SellerAmp. Very important. Keep an eye on that. And I would avoid products where Amazon itself is the primary seller. Now, here's where it gets a little interesting because finding a product is one thing, but knowing and understanding how to read the data and knowing what the numbers are actually telling you is a completely different thing. And it's going to be what separates the people who make money from the people who don't make money. Reading the data, a real product example. All right, for an example, let's say you're on Walmart's website, you find a name brand cleaning product. It's being sold at a discounted price for $8 on Walmart. Now you pull up that product, you put the information into SellerAmp, and it shows you that Amazon is selling that exact same product for $24.99. Now the Amazon fees are $8.50, which means your profit at $8 cost is approximately $8.50. The monthly sales that it shows you is 180 units per month. The number of sellers is 6. And the buy box, it's rotating between 3 sellers. Now you pull up Keepa, the price has been stable between $22 and $26 for the last 6 months. The BSR has been consistently between 2,000 and 5,000 in its subcategory. No major spikes, no crashes, nothing like that. It's a green light product. She's good to go. 180 units per month across 6 sellers means roughly 30 units per seller per month. So if you buy 30 units at $8 each, that's $240 you've invested. Now you sell them for $24.99, netting roughly $8.50 per unit. That's going to be $254 in profit on a $240 investment in about 30 days. That's over 100% return on investment. That's 100% ROI. Now, imagine you have 10 products running simultaneously just like that. And that's it. That's the business. Now, let's look at a red flag example. Okay, let's go through the same scenario, but when you pull up Keepa, you see the price was $35 2 months ago. Dropped to $18 last month and is now $24.99. The BSR has been all over the fucking place. Sometimes it's 1,000, sometimes it's 50,000. That's a super volatile product. You don't want that. The price is super unstable. The demand is inconsistent. You could essentially end up buying, say, 30 units today, and by the time that they actually arrive at the Amazon or wherever you're sending them to, the price has dropped to $15, and now you're going to end up losing money. So that's a red flag. Definitely pass on that one. And this is exactly why Keepa is a non-negotiable. It's not just about what a product is doing or selling for today. It's more important about what it's doing over time. So step 6 is getting ungated. And what ungating means is certain brands and categories on Amazon require approval before you can sell them. This is essentially Amazon's way of making sure that sellers are legitimate and that their products aren't being counterfeited, or to make sure Amazon's business runs smoothly. Now, keep in mind that getting ungated is a little bit of a process. It's not instant, like it doesn't happen like right now, and it requires a little bit of upfront work, but it's most definitely worth it, trust me, because the gated categories and brands are often the most profitable ones. So what does that mean? To get ungated, the general process works like this. Step 1, you're going to find a product in a gated brand or category that you would like to sell. Step 2 is you're going to purchase at least 10 units from the authorized supplier or the wholesaler. Then, number 3, you're going to get an invoice from that supplier that shows your business name, the supplier's name, the product name, and the quantity of your purchased units. And then you're going to submit that invoice to Amazon through your Seller Central account, along with any photos that they might require of the product. And then after that, you're simply just waiting for approval. But there are a few things that you should keep in mind or know. It is possible that you get denied the first time. That's totally normal. Keep reapplying. You can reply as much as you would like. Some sellers get approved on their 4th application. Some sellers get approved on their 20th application. Just don't quit. Also, your invoice needs to be from an authorized source. Amazon's a multi-billion-dollar company. They can tell the difference between a legitimate wholesale invoice and a receipt from a retail store. Also, keep in mind that some categories like groceries, health and beauty, baby products, sometimes they're gated by default for new sellers. So sometimes getting into these categories early is worth the effort because they're high demand, high velocity categories. So which categories would I focus on prioritizing? Start by trying to get ungated in 10 to 15 different brands and categories before you start buying inventory at scale. And in doing so, this will give you a big enough selection of products in order to source from. So here are some good categories to start focusing on or targeting early. I would look into the grocery and gourmet food categories, health products, household products, beauty and personal care, baby products, pet supplies. So step number 7, placing your first order and shipping it to Amazon. So once you've done your product research, you've checked the numbers, you've confirmed that you are actually approved to sell, and you verified the price history, it's time to buy it. I want to emphasize this: start small. Your first order should realistically be fairly modest. It should be maybe $500 to $1,000 in product. And the reason is because you're learning a new process. You're building new systems. You're getting acclimated to the way you do this. You're not trying to go from $0 to $50,000 in inventory in one night. So once you've bought the product, once it's being shipped to your house or your prep center, you need to prepare the products. So the next step is, before you can even send any products to Amazon, they need to be properly labeled. And in order to properly label the products, Amazon needs you to have what is an FNSKU. What an FSNKU label is, it stands for Fulfillment Network Stock Keeping Unit. It's basically just an Amazon barcode system that they use to track their inventory in their warehouses. So what you're going to do next is you're going to generate an FNSKU label. You're going to generate that from your Seller Central account. You're going to need to print them on a 2x1 label paper. Then you're going to apply them over the existing UPC barcode on the product. And then there's a couple other prep requirements before it gets sent off. You're going to have to remove any pricing stickers from the product. Obviously, if a customer sees that you bought something for $5 and you're selling it for $25, they're probably not going to like that very much. Next, you're going to poly bag any products that could be damaged, or if moisture or dust or dirt or grime or anything like that can get in there. On top of that, if any products need to be bundled or they're being sold together, you have to put them together. If you're using a prep center, they're going to handle all of this for you. And another reason is, if you're doing this all on your own, it's going to take a little bit of time to do it properly, obviously, and you might make mistakes. So that is typically why I suggest using a prep center. Keep in mind that Amazon has pretty strict preparation requirements, and sending them improperly prepared inventory, they can give you extra fees, or they can just reject your shipment. So once your products are prepared and you've created your shipment in the Amazon Seller Central account, this is what the basic process is going to look like. You're going to manage your inventory in the Seller Central. You're going to find the product that you want to ship. Then you're going to click on send or replenish inventory. Then you enter the quantity that you're going to be sending. Then from there, Amazon will tell you exactly which fulfillment center to send it to. They're going to distribute inventory across their entire network, so you may be sending it to multiple locations. Then what you're going to do is you're going to print the box labels. Amazon generates them, and then you apply them to the boxes. From there, you're going to ship your boxes, whether you're going to use UPX or FedEx or USPS. Once you've done that, Amazon will notify you when your inventory is received and when it's checked in. This is typically going to take anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks, though keep in mind during peak seasons, during like say the fourth quarter, like I was mentioning, how they're super busy with Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas, it might take a little bit longer. And once your inventory is checked in and it is active, your products are live on Amazon and they're available for customers to start buying. Now, here's the part that most people don't talk about. Because you're getting your first products live, it's exciting. But what happens after that? How do you manage them? How do you do your day-to-day business? How do you keep growing? How do you eventually transition from online arbitrage into wholesale? So I'm going to walk you through that, and I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. So the next step, step 8, is going to be going over managing your store and repricing. So checking your listings daily once your products are live. You need to be monitoring them regularly. And I say this because the Amazon marketplace is extremely dynamic. Prices change, sellers come and go, your buy box position can shift, it's always changing. In the beginning, typically when you have fewer than, say, 25 active listings or products, you should be checking your listings every single day. And you should be looking at things like, are you winning the buy box? Has the price dropped significantly? Are you still being profitable at the current price? Is your inventory running low? If you're not winning the buy box, you may need to adjust your price, obviously. If your price has dropped and you're no longer profitable, then obviously you have a decision to make. Either lower your price to stay competitive, or you hold and wait for the price to recover, hopefully. And this is where Keepa, the software I was telling you about previously, becomes your best friend again. Because if the price has dropped, say, temporarily, and the history shows that it always recovers, you might just want to hold off on it and wait. But on the flip side, if the price has been declining for months with no sign of recovery, it might be time to liquidate or move on. You're always going to be repricing as your store grows, and manually repricing every listing every single day becomes, well, it just becomes impossible, essentially. And that's when you're going to start looking into a repricing tool. Essentially, a repricing tool automatically adjusts your prices based on rules that you set for it. For example, what you can do is you can set your parameters, or you can always tell it to always set my price 2 cents below the lowest FBA seller, but never go below X amount of dollars. And what this does is it's incredibly beneficial, because what it allows you to do is it allows you to stay competitive without ever having to touch this every single day and have to do the monotonous task of doing it manually. But I want to mention to set your minimum price very carefully. Your minimum price should always be slightly above your break-even point, meaning set it at a price at which you're still making at least some profit after all of the fees. Monitor your inventory. Keep a super close eye on your inventory levels, because running out of stock is one of the biggest mistakes that you can make as an Amazon seller. Basically, what happens when you run out of stock is your listing will lose momentum. Your sales rank drops, and when you restock, you're essentially starting over in terms of visibility, which sucks because it can take weeks to recover. Keep in mind, as a general rule of thumb, when you're down to about, say, 30 days remaining of inventory, that's typically when you want to start reordering. Just be consciously aware to factor in the time that it takes to source the product, to prepare it, to get it checked into Amazon. And Seller Board can help you track this automatically. It's super beneficial. It's very helpful. Basically, what it will do is it will alert you when your inventory is running low, and it'll give you reorder recommendations. So step 9 is scaling and moving into wholesale. When are you ready to make the transition into wholesale? Typically, a signal that you're ready to start approaching the wholesale suppliers is that you have 2 to 3 months of consistent selling history on Amazon. You're generating at least a few $1,000s in monthly sales, and you have a solid understanding of how to evaluate products. And at that point, you have something to show to the wholesalers. You have proof that you can move products, and that's essentially what wholesale suppliers would like to see. So from there, the next question is how to approach wholesale suppliers. The process to getting wholesale accounts is a lot like sales. You're just reaching out to these brands and distributors, you're introducing yourself and your business, and you're basically asking to open an account. And then what they're going to require from you, what you're going to need, is your LLC documentation, your reseller's permit, your Amazon selling history. Send them some screenshots. You're going to need a professional email address, not a Gmail. Use your business domain. When you reach out, try to keep the message professional and concise. Just write something like, "Hi, my name is Colin. I run," and then put in your business name. It is an Amazon FBA business. We specialize in, insert the category. I'm interested in opening a wholesale account with, insert their brand, and then say I've attached our reseller's permit and can provide the Amazon sales history upon request. Could you point me to the right person to discuss this? Now, keep in mind, you're more than likely going to get a lot of no's. The answer is always no unless you ask. That's what I always say. So don't let that discourage you. The more accounts that you have open, the more products that you have access to, and the more your business grows. So what wholesale looks like at a larger scale is once you have wholesale accounts, the business model shifts a little bit. Because instead of hunting for individual deals on retail websites and things like that, you're placing regular orders directly with the brands or the distributors. You're buying at wholesale prices, typically 40 to 60% below retail, and you're selling on Amazon at or near retail price. The margins are bigger, the orders are larger, the business is more predictable. And because you're buying directly from the authorized sources, you have legitimate invoices that make getting ungated new brands much easier. And this is exactly where the business starts to feel a little bit more real, or you start seeing that it's more of a scalable operation and a scalable business. And this is typically where people start going from, say, $5,000 a month to $20,000 a month to $40,000 a month. So here's the math. Here's what $10,000 a month in profit actually looks like. Let me break this down so it's completely concrete and very understandable. In order to make $10,000 per month in profit, you're going to need 3 to 4 solid and validated products that you're cycling through consistently. So here's an example I'll break down with, say, 4 products. Product number 1, we're going to say you invest $2,000. There's a 30% ROI, return on investment. That is a $600 a month profit. Product number 2, you invest, say, $3,000. You have a 35% ROI. That works out to be around $1,050 per month in profit. Product number 3, you're going to invest, say, $4,000. You have a 40% ROI. You're going to make $1,600 profit per month. And product number 4, say you invest $5,000. You have a 45% ROI, return on investment. Your profit for that month will be $2,250 a month. So if you look at that, your total invested amount of money is $14,000. Your total monthly profit will be $5,500. Now, if you reinvest that profit, your capital grows. Your order sizes are going to get bigger. Your order sizes are going to grow. Your profit is going to grow. Within 6 months of consistently executing this process, $10,000 a month in profit is absolutely achievable. That's why we have our guarantee in my program, because I know you can do it. I've seen it happen with many students who had zero experience and they were just getting started in the space. Like Rob, he's one of our students that I mentioned at the beginning. Rob has done $131,000 in his very first year. He was working a 9-to-5 job his entire time. He was in the IT space. This is a real business. It just takes a little bit of real work is all it is. The math works. So I'm going to go over the 3 pillars of our program and why they matter. I want to take a couple moments just to talk about why most people who try to do this alone, they typically fail, and how to correct that. What is the solution to not fail? Pillar 1 is the roadmap. The biggest reason that people fail on Amazon is because they're trying to piece together on their own little bits of information of what they think works and what they've heard might be a good strategy. They're just watching 15 or 20 different YouTube videos or channels, and they're getting 15 or 20 different pieces of advice. And what happens is they're trying to build a coherent strategy out of contradictory information. And on top of that, they're guessing products. They have no idea what they're doing. They're guessing on suppliers. They're guessing on numbers. And they end up wasting a ton of time. They waste a ton of money. And ultimately, they end up failing or they quit. So the solution is a step-by-step roadmap, a proven system that tells you exactly what to do in exactly what order and how to do it properly. So that's what myself and Scott, my business partner, we put together. We built it. It has over 12 hours of training videos covering every single step, every single process, from setting up your LLC to scaling into wholesale. We have done for you templates, trackers, SOPs, standard operating procedures, supplier outreach scripts, literally every single thing you need in order to have all of your bases covered in every step along the way. So you're not writing a single thing from scratch. You're not trying to learn anything from scratch. You're not trying to do anything blindly. And every single week, we update our community with products that we've personally found, validated, and handpicked. And by doing that, there's literally zero guesswork on our end, and we know that our students are becoming successful. The second pillar is our one-on-one coaching and support. Our curriculum alone won't build a real business. What actually builds a real business is having the right feedback, the right accountability, the right support, the right guidance in place in order to be successful, which is why in our program, we incorporated bi-weekly one-on-one coaching calls directly with Scott and myself. There's not some random coach we hired off the internet or anything like that. It's us. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to look over your numbers personally, your products, your decisions, everything that you do, every decision that you're making. We follow you along step by step. We double check your work. We check in. We provide answers, support, guidance if you guys have any. And the reason we do this is because I want to ensure you have the most success. Also, I want to make sure you are doing everything proper before you even spend a single dollar on products. On top of that, you get 24/7 direct support inside of our community. You can text us. You can get quick answers right away. You don't have to wait days for a response or anything like that. I created it in that manner because speed is the key. The faster you can get an answer to your question, the more success you're going to have. The third pillar is our community and our network. Inside the program, you get access to private communities. You're going to have people in there that are at every stage of this business model along the way. Some are just getting started. Some are doing $10,000, $20,000, or even $40,000 a month in sales. You're able to ask questions in the community. We encourage you to share your wins, share your sales progress, products you're looking at, all your small wins, no matter how big or how small your wins are. We love seeing people sharing their wins in there. The important thing is to keep growing and progressing together, because that kind of environment is invaluable. And I always think of it this way: iron sharpens iron. On top of that, we also have our weekly group coaching calls where you can get direct feedback. You can learn from other people's situations, what they're going through, what might have worked for them, what didn't work for them. And incorporating all of that is exactly why I have the guarantee, which is exactly why I believe so much in this structure and this program that I put it in writing to have a 100% guarantee. The guarantee is if you come into the program, if you follow exactly the layout, everything I lay out for you, you show up on the coaching calls, you ask questions, and you still haven't hit your first $10,000 inside of the program, we will continue to coach you one-on-one. We're completely free with you until you do. That's the $10,000 a month, or the work with you until you win guarantee that we have. Common mistakes and how to avoid them. This is an important section that I want to go over with you guys because I want to explain how to save you guys some pain and trial and error. Mistake number one, they typically start with private label. Private label is not where you want to start. It's where you go after you've built a store, you've generated some cash flow, and you have an understanding of how Amazon works. I'll paint you a picture of what it looks like to start with private label as a complete beginner. What's going to happen is you're more than likely going to spend $10,000 to $30,000 before you've even made a single sale. You're going to end up waiting 6 to 12 months, more than likely, on products to be manufactured. You're going to end up burning money on ads for a brand that nobody knows, and starting on page 200 of Amazon's search results with 0 reviews. But you're a brand that nobody knows, which is exactly why I say to start with online arbitrage, build the foundation, and then expand. The second mistake that I typically see people talk about is chasing trends. Trends are seductive. They're alluring. You see something blowing up on, say, TikTok, and you think, oh, if I can get 500 units of this on Amazon before anyone else, oh, I'm going to make millions. I'm going to make a killing. Maybe, but more than likely, by the time your inventory actually arrives, the trend is over, and then you're going to be left with 500 or 1,000 other sellers that have flooded the listing, and the prices ended up crashing because nobody cares about that product anymore. Which is exactly why I say stick with the boring, the evergreen products that people buy every single week or every single day because they need them. That's where the consistent money is. The third mistake that people typically make is they do not check Keepa before buying. I cannot stress this enough, guys. Never buy a product without checking its price history on Keepa, because a product that looks profitable today might have a history of crashing in price every 4 or 6 weeks. A product that has a great BSR today might have been at 500,000 3 months ago, and it just spiked temporarily. That's why it's incredibly important to utilize Keepa. Keepa tells you the truth. And the fourth mistake is buying too much too fast when somebody finds a product that looks great. Sometimes the temptation gets them all jazzed up, and then they end up buying, say, 500 units, or they buy 1,000 units. So start with a small test order, maybe 20 to 30 units. Monitor how they sell, how they're performing. See how the price holds. See how the buy box behaves. And once you've validated that product and it performs the way that you expected it to, or you're very happy, then you can scale it up. Mistake number 5 is ignoring inventory management. Running out of stock is one of the most expensive mistakes that you can make in your business, because your sales rank is going to drop, your visibility drops, and your recovery takes time. So this is going back to what I was saying. Set up the inventory alerts. Reorder before it runs out and build a buffer. And the last mistake that I typically see is trying to do it all alone. This is the biggest one. And I can relate to this wholeheartedly. I spent years trying to figure out e-commerce on my own. I made a lot of expensive mistakes that cost me time and energy and money. When I finally connected with Scott, my business partner, somebody who had already figured out the system, and that's when everything changed. In theory, yes, you can figure this out on your own, but it's going to take you 3 to 5 times longer, and you're going to make a ton of mistakes, and it's going to cost you a bunch of money. I would highly recommend finding a mentor, find a community, invest in your education. The return on investment, the ROI on that investment, is always higher than the ROI on your first inventory order. I want to clearly address this because I constantly hear this. Amazon is oversaturated. No. No, it is not. And the data proves that. Simply Google it. All the numbers and everything I'm going to tell you right now, you can just Google and double check. Amazon does $1.9 billion in sales every day. Almost $2 billion a day they make. The number of active sellers has been declining on Amazon since 2021. It's down roughly 25% per year. Meanwhile, the number of buyers keeps growing. More buyers, fewer sellers. More money left on the table for serious sellers like myself and potentially you who know what they're doing. Now, what the data shows us is sellers who are leaving are the ones who had no system, they had no strategy, they had no guidance. They tried to piece together on their own, they saw no results, and they ultimately ended up quitting. That's not a market problem. That's an execution problem. That doesn't mean Amazon's oversaturated. Amazon is not oversaturated. It's underserved by people who actually know what they're doing. And more importantly, the thing about the timing right now specifically is this. In 2021, there were roughly 2.4 million active sellers in Amazon. As of 2026, that number has dropped to about 1.8 million. But there's more buyers on Amazon than there were in 2021, which means there's fewer sellers, more buyers. It means there's more money available. I highly recommend, if you've been waiting for the right time to start, this is it. There's never been a time as good as right now. So what do the first 6 months look like? In month 1, you're going to be setting up your LLC, your Amazon account, getting approved for your Amazon account. You're going to be getting your tools, those softwares I was telling you about. You're going to be focusing on getting ungated in your first, say, 5 to 10 brands. You're going to be focusing on doing your first product research, learning how to